Hello everyone, welcome to Analog IAS current affair analysis for 20th April 2020, and these are the articles that we'll be dealing today. The first article for the day is taken from The Hindu and it is titled A Shot of Hope with a Game-Changing Vaccine. So this article is about a metaphor called the social vaccine. Now with respect to COVID-19 crisis, we have seen that there is a multifold increase in infection rate as well as death rate. So the health minister said that social distancing is the only social vaccine available to prevent COVID-19 crisis. So what exactly is this social vaccine? In our GS4 syllabus, there is a topic called persuasion. So this term, the social vaccine, is relevant to that particular syllabus. So when we are talking about social vaccine, we are basically emphasizing on the need for certain expected standards when we are in a social life. The end objective of this persuasion is to ensure that there is a change in social behavior. Even our economic survey recently focused on the need for inculcating this social change and behavioral change for any policy to be successful. Now, in order to ensure that this lockdown is successfully implemented, we definitely need cooperation from people. And this can be brought about only when there is accepted social behavior and standards for social distancing. This is the social vaccine that we are talking about. This is a very important and crucial tool for success of any policy. So in order to ensure that this kind of social behavior is expected from the people and it is effective enough, there are certain components that are very much central for the success of that plan. So the first one is the need for an awareness campaign that addresses all the issues of the particular pandemic in the question. So we have to spread information which is very relevant for the spread of this disease. So we have to do everything to let the people know that certain points are very much necessary to stop the spread of this disease. That is the first step. Secondly, when you want people to accept these standards of behavior, you have to address the barriers that are there in their path to ensure that that expected standard of behavior is achieved by people. For example, in the present case, if you strictly impose lockdowns without access to basic groceries and food stuff, people would not adhere to those standards of social distancing. So the governments must ensure that the goods that are very much required for survival, like food grains, groceries and vegetables, are very much within the accessible distance, and only then people will stick to this social distancing concept. Otherwise, there is a possibility that they might travel to farther distances to just save certain amount of money. So you cannot expect a normal common population or common man to buy goods at exorbitant prices in this lockdown. So that is just an example of how to address barriers to ensure that social distancing norm is achieved. Thirdly, you have to encourage positive behavior. There are many examples as to how police officers are trying to appreciate positive behavior and encourage this positive behavior within the public. So these are certain important concepts that you have to remember while designing these plans. If you want to take a look at certain international examples, we have the experience of Uganda and Thailand. Before the heart therapy for treating the symptoms of HIV or AIDS came into the picture in 1995, Uganda and Thailand made sure that their public ensured and adhered to accepted social behavior to reduce the spread of HIV and AIDS. If we have to take certain lessons from the HIV experience in early 90s and late 80s, initially when HIV broke out, there was a status of chaos across the world because nobody knew what was happening, the reason for such an infection. So if you were diagnosed with HIV, it was almost as if you were going to die. There was certainty, it was like a death sentence. So there was utter chaos and there were religious, social differences and stigmatization of certain communities. So Uganda and Thailand were very successful in adopting those strategies and advocacy measures which encouraged anything that is against stigma and discrimination. So they were successfully adapted in India as well. These skills and experiences must be innovatively adapted for the current pandemic of COVID-19. That is what this article is trying to say. The second article for the day is an important piece with respect to the Kerala model of development, and it is taken from the Live Mint. It is titled, "There is a reason the rest of India cannot be Kerala." So this article is trying to debunk certain myths with respect to Kerala and what are the positive points of the Kerala society. There are certain stereotypes associated with Kerala, and when someone tells us that Kerala is a matriarchal society or a society dominated by women, it is a myth, because this is a stereotypical example of how Kerala societies are imagined whenever it is talked about in national context. However, there are certain positives that Kerala can focus upon, and that is the kind of socio-economic development that you see in Kerala. So, if Kerala were a nation according to the author, it could be easily termed a middle income one, and unlike in the rest of the country, if a Kerala farmer commits suicide, probably there will be a look at the scenarios under which this particular act of suicide was committed. So there wouldn't be a stereotypical assumption that a particular farmer in this question committed suicide because of the debt trap. If we compare the situation of Keralites in Kerala and outside Kerala, there are some stark contrasts. The ease of doing business in the state is very low because, according to the author, nearly 200 days of the calendar year are lost in strikes or hartals by the labor class. This is because of the overblown image of the rights that citizens have in Kerala. But when you compare the situation outside, most of the Keralites prosper in this pro-capitalist economy, and 35% of the state's revenue comes from 10% of the population who are outside the state. So this comes in the form of remittances. This tells you something about the socio-economic conditions in the state. The author attributes the success of Keralites to majorly two factors. Kerala has been doing exceedingly well in giving primary education and healthcare in the initial years. This emphasis on primary healthcare and education ensured that the citizens of Kerala are healthy as well as educated, which puts them at a better situation than most of their Bihari or Uttar Pradesh counterparts who do not have the access to this healthcare and education. The author says that the biggest reason why this was possible is because of the political system and the people going hand in hand. So whenever we think about Kerala, we imagine the society was like that because of the communist governments that existed there. Rather, it is the other way around. It is the people that created this political system, not the other way around. So what explains this ideological thinking of the society of Kerala? So the author explains it in this way. From times immemorial, Kerala has always been the hub of trade. So because a lot of traders visited Kerala, it became a center for cultural interchange, and there have been various religions that flourished in the state. For example, Islam, Christianity and all the other religions which visited this place flourished. As a result, there was prosperity within the community and the spirit of entrepreneurship has progressed within the society. So we can say that Kerala has always been capitalistic. So as a result of the inequality created because of this capitalist society, there are psychological factors that evolved. The first one is the guilt of the rich. When European travelers came to Kerala, they tried to use this guilt of the rich and tried to infuse idealism within the society. This is the theory proposed by the writer of this article. Now when you try to do this, there will be a sense of idealism created within the society. That is the reason why most of the Keralites talk about rights. So this emphasis on rights, because of the prosperity created and therefore the inequality created, was a chain reaction which led to the guilt of the rich and forced them to think in an idealistic pattern, which more or less tried to create a society where the haves and the have-nots coexist peacefully. Therefore, the central point that the author of this article is trying to say is a political system does not create a society, it's the character of the people that enables political systems. So, if modern societies in the post-COVID world want to create the Kerala model in all the states, what they have to do is fight for these ideas. It is not because of the guilt of the rich, but it is due to the fact that every human being should have a minimum set of standards across the society. That is the idea that we have to take from this entire Kerala developmental story and move forward in the rest of the country. Otherwise, there will always be a difference in the way Kerala has developed and other countries, or rather other states, did not. The next article for the day is taken from the Indian Express, and this is written in the context of COVID-19. So the article is titled Rethinking the Modern, and it focuses on three principles of Swadeshi, Swachhata and Sarvodaya that are central to Gandhian thought. How is it applicable in the times of COVID-19 crisis? That is the central theme of this article. In 1909, when Gandhiji wrote Hind Swaraj, he criticized the Western model of development or British model of development, where there was excessive emphasis on modernization or material culture. So he even attacked the railways as a symbol of the spreader of this disease, where the emphasis shifted from moral values to materialistic values. So if we compare that analogy with the present times, we can see that the modernity and modern lifestyles has reduced our efficacy to deal with the virus, and virus spread has been exponential and death toll has been rising because of this globalization, which is a sign of modernity. So do we have to consider that Gandhi's ideas are still relevant in our times? That is the central theme that we are talking about. So the first point that we have to focus on is Swadeshi. Because of the dependence on global value chains, we have not developed the capacities, even when we had it, to produce for our own population. For example, if we take the case of edible oils, the fact is that we import nearly 50% of the edible oils. So this is not viable because of the lack of economies of scale, because of land fragmentation. So we were not able to handle these kind of issues, and we went for global value chains. In times like this, we understand the emphasis on Swadeshi, or the importance of having the capacity to support our own population. That is the first principle of Gandhi that we have to take into consideration in COVID-19 times. The second principle is that of Swachhata. This is a self-explanatory aspect, because as you can see, during these times of COVID-19, there has always been emphasis on sanitation standards. Today, we are washing our hands every single hour, and we are ensuring that the spread of virus is contained by maintaining this sanitation standards. Now, the Swachh Bharat Abhiyan should be taken into consideration as an extension of this Gandhian thought. The third one is the idea of Sarvodaya. The concept of Sarvodaya generally means that we have to strive for universal upliftment or the progress of all. The term was used by Gandhi in his book, which was a translation of John Ruskin's tract on political economy, Unto His Last. So Gandhi came to use the term for the idea of his own political philosophy, and later Gandhians and other Gandhian thinkers like the Indian non-violence activist Vinoba Bhave embraced this term and carried forward this idea of universal upliftment. So you can see that element of thought even in his Bhudan movement as well. So Gandhi was not just a freedom fighter, he was also a social reformer. And in the times of COVID-19 crisis, there is no better time to understand the emphasis on simple living, where villages are prosperous enough to deal with their own population, is the key takeaway during these times. That is the gist of this article. That's it for the day. Thank you.